Hi and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about feelings, and I decided to do this topic because, being completely open with you, this past week has been a real emotional roller coaster for me, and I've really hit some real lows and cried a lot and found it difficult. And at other moments I've been happy and joyful and peaceful and graceful. And so all of those emotions have been cycling around and churning around within me. I also know from speaking to others around me and those I coach that they are experiencing a similar tumult of emotions. And I guess just to remind ourselves, we are all in a great big storm. And so it's not surprising that at moments in this journey, we are going to feel tossed around by the waves. We're going to feel scared. We're going to be cold, wet, seasick, and just desperate to get off and find some dry land. And then again, at other times, we might find ourselves with a lull in the storm and enjoying the peace, the tranquility, the possibility of new horizons. And it's easy to start to judge ourselves and possibly others for the way that we're feeling. I know for myself, it's easy to start saying, well, who am I to feel, down and upset? I've got, a lovely family around me. I've got a great house. Everyone I care about is healthy. But of course, that isn't helpful to do that. So the first thing I want to say today is that any of the emotions that you're feeling are absolutely okay to feel. Do not feel guilty about how you're feeling, and do not feel shameful about how you're feeling. It's important to allow ourselves to feel our emotions, whilst we might believe that by pushing our emotions down and pretending that we're fine, as the great Brené Brown calls it, armouring up, we are actually looking after ourselves and doing the best for others. We know that that isn't actually the case. We build our resilience and we build our relationships and strengthen those by giving both ourselves and others the permission to feel. And one of the ways that we do that is by showing vulnerability. If we define vulnerability as the emotion that we experience during times of uncertainty, risk and emotional exposure, who isn't feeling vulnerable right now? And so today's technique is about giving yourself and therefore others permission to feel and to show that you're feeling. So the first step is just to check in with yourself several times a day and ask yourself, how am I feeling? And then allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you are experiencing. Don't judge yourself. No shoulds, no oughts, no musts, no guilt, no shame. Just accept however it is that you're feeling, and you might find it helpful to keep a log or a journal of that. However you're feeling is absolutely fine. It's part of the human experience of what we're all going through right now. Now, the second part is then to have the vulnerability and actually the courage, because vulnerability and courage go hand in hand, to share some of that with others. I know from my years working as a psychologist and coach, and also my own personal experience, how important this is. For myself this past week, the process of opening up to some of those close to me, colleagues, as well as family and friends, has not only been helpful to me, it's helped them. You see, one of the things that happens is that we often compare the worst of ourselves with the best of others. And to give you an example of this, one of my very close friends and colleagues, when I shared with them this week how I'd been feeling, I could almost feel both the support but also the relief for them. And they said, I look at you and I think, oh, you're doing so brilliantly and you're doing all of these things. And it was a real moment of deepening of trust and connection between us. Similarly, when I worked with a team the other week, the fact that the leader of that team stepped forward and was willing to talk about some of the things that they'd been struggling with helped to give the other members of the team permission to also share some of their experiences and what they were going through. And we know that this process builds trust, and through that what we call psychological safety. in teams, and that's incredibly important to the performance of teams, but the same goes for families, friendship groups, community groups. By showing more vulnerability, we build trust, we build the safety and the permission for others to really be themselves. And through doing that, we form stronger relationships, and it's more enjoyable being part of those groups. Linked to this, then, the second part of today's technique is to open up. Show some vulnerability, have the courage to share with somebody that you know. It could be somebody at work, or perhaps it's someone in your family or a friend, something that you've been struggling with or that you are struggling with at the moment. As you do this, you might want to let them know that you're not doing this because you need them to fix it or make it better. Simply ask them to listen. And then, of course, you might invite them, or just find that they in turn share with you, and you don't need to feel the need to fix or make better how they're feeling. Just notice the difference that it makes and the permission that giving yourself to feel and express that gives to others. So I hope you found today's techniques helpful. I know that they're techniques that have really helped me over the past week. I look forward to sharing more with you over the coming days and weeks. Stay safe. Much love.